All right. So I am being joined by attorney Kalina Milanova. Thank you so much for sitting down with me and chatting with me. She is the managing partner of Milanova and Partners law firm in Bulgaria. So thank you again for coming on here. I was learning about your background, and you are experienced in mergers and acquisitions, corporate and financial and property laws. And I was wondering if you could share with us a little bit about your journey into this area of the law, especially being the managing partner of your firm, and some of the challenges that maybe you've faced along your journey as well.
Thank you very much, Marie. It's a real pleasure being here with you today. Thank you for the opportunity of sharing my experience and my vision of women in the legal profession. This millennium will be the millennium of women. So women in legal profession are also part of this very special focus for everybody. It's really funny that you started with my experience in mergers and acquisitions, because that's far from where I started. And I will explain why geography predetermined very much my career path. I was born in Eastern Europe, and my career started in the first decade after the collapse of communism. So at that time, there were no companies, no corporates. There were only state-owned enterprises. So M&A at that time meant something very different from what you have as a concept of M&A. It was privatization, it was bankruptcy, it was liquidation to change the status of the state-owned enterprises into private companies. So it was a very, very interesting time. And I started in the bankruptcy department of the Ministry of Economy, at that time responsible for all big state enterprises. Due to my experience as a law student at the law faculty, dealing with the American bankruptcy of Chapter 11, my thesis was devoted to the Chapter 11 reorganization of companies. So this helped me join the then first democratic government in Bulgaria and bring this knowledge into the law, which later became the bankruptcy law in Bulgaria. So it was really very flying start, being able to participate in shaping the new modern economy of the country. The next very challenging milestone was the setup of the capital markets in Bulgaria, something that in most countries around the world is considered as given, but we didn't have anything in Bulgaria back in the 1990s. So we started by drafting the securities law, by setting up a Securities and Exchange Commission, the stock exchange. Very, very challenging time, and I'm very grateful that the geography gave me the opportunity to be part not only of the legal profession, but also of shaping the modern economic of our country.
Absolutely. You have, I mean, shaped and created so many different laws that we use now. And I mean, it's just incredible, especially in the time that you were entering into these types of the legal profession and molding this. This is absolutely incredible. So you must have seen some very interesting scenarios and situations, especially as a pioneer. So coming in and being as a pioneer in these areas of law, what were some of the challenges that you as a woman lawyer saw that maybe your male counterparts didn't have to experience?
That's also another preconception about women in legal profession that does not apply to Eastern Europe. In Eastern Europe, it's very easy to be a woman lawyer, just because I'm a third generation of professional woman in our family, and that applies to all women who come from Eastern Europe. We were expected to start our professional careers. We didn't have any other option. There was no option to be a stay-at-home wife or stay-at-home mom. It was just not possible. To survive, you need to work. So I now see how differently things were in Western Europe, in some other parts of the world. But in Eastern Europe, for young girls, starting a profession was the most natural thing to do. So male colleagues, they expected us to be there. They didn't have any problem of having female co-workers. So again, geography predetermined also this part of my journey.
Absolutely. I mean, you have definitely been very blessed in that, it seemed like it was part of the culture then this was not a question. This was something that was expected in order for you to make ends meet, in order for you to continue the legacy of the family and for you to survive, which is very, very, interesting that there was a need for women to work. There was an expectation for women to work, which, if you think about it, then kind of already alleviates the inequality, because we are all trying to survive. We are all trying to eat. We're all trying to have a home and a successful life. And it almost, like you mentioned, predetermined the fact that you didn't have to deal with many of the challenges because it was expected of you. That is so interesting. Very, very interesting perspective.
I have been on the other end too. Our law firm became part of European law firm, which is the oldest organization of law firms in Europe. We have exclusive member in more than 25 countries in Europe. And the organization was set up by Western European countries 35 years ago. And it was male-dominated organization. So when our law firm joined, and me being the managing partner representing our law firm at the general meetings of the organization, I was always mistaken as being a spouse, and I was always invited to join the spouses program. Because there were very few women at that time. I'm speaking like 12 years ago, very few women attending the professional meeting of the lawyers. And for me, that was a shock. I didn't expect that they would be surprised to see me sitting in a general meeting of the organization, because in our country, that's not a problem. But then in this European organization, I've seen that it was not always the case in some of the countries with different cultural tradition. I'm very happy that I have been part of the process of modernizing the organization. Currently, I'm the only female sitting on the board of this organization, and the perception of spouses program changed quite a lot as my husband didn't want to join the cooking classes and the shopping. So I'm happy that we contributed to open the minds of our colleagues from Western Europe, that women have their place in the legal profession.
I think that's so important, is having the exposure for people who are in more Western world where they do have this discrimination in the legal profession. I mean, you told the story of a classic case of what generally happens with women, and it's happened to myself as well, where I'm mistaken for not the lawyer, but maybe the secretary or the the notary, someone else that's not the lawyer. So it's a very common circumstance that a lot of women in the legal profession are faced, and you yourself also faced it when you came to more of the Western type of mentality. But you also mentioned something really interesting, which is having the men from Eastern Europe, kind of showing men from other countries and other cultures that this is actually normal, this is actually expected, this really shouldn't even be a topic. Could you elaborate a little bit more on that?
I believe that when you have the confidence and that you have the expertise and the experience, There is nothing that would prevent you from showing who you are, and I have never felt not belonging to the table of the decision makers in the organization. Though it was not the case for all my colleagues, there was one male colleague who said that it's a shame a pretty girl like you with 3 generations of men alive in your family to work at all. And I was absolutely shocked because for me it's the most natural thing to choose a career, to contribute to the society, to work on exciting projects, and somebody seeing this as disadvantage was really shocking to me. So these cultural differences are very strong, still quite strong in Europe. And I totally agree with you that we are very often seen in the role of a secretary. We are the one taking notes. We are the one bringing water to the meetings. But I try to concentrate on proving with my expertise and professional behavior that we have placed there.
Absolutely. Can you share a little bit about some of the key characteristics and skills that maybe have contributed to your success in your profession?
I believe being hardworking really helps. I have been with CMS when they first opened office in Sofia, and I remember the long hours that we had to work multitasking as so many projects go on simultaneously, and you have to jump from one project to another. And I believe women, we have a great advantage as multitasking is our nature. It's more difficult for men to concentrate on more than one project at the same time than for women, because we always have to find the balance between our personal life, our families, our work. So that also really helps in legal business because most of the cases are very complex and you need to see them from very different angles to be able to find the right solution for the particular case. So I believe this is really important.
Absolutely. Kalina, thank you so very much for sharing your wisdom. I mean, it's just incredible to also know that not every corners of the world there are women that have to have this discrimination against them. I mean, it's very inspiring, and I hope that that just continues as a ripple effect. So thank you very much for your time and for your wisdom and sharing your expertise with us.
Thank you very much, Marie. All the best to you and the team.
Likewise, take care now.
Bye-bye.